Hey, Melissa Wick here. Today I'm talking about boundaries and handling disputes in the workplace or disputes within your contracts. So, boundaries are something you do for yourself, right? They're not something that you do to control other people. They're about you saying what you will do if a certain behavior continues or if certain thing happens, right? So, it's a way of kind of like setting expectations and then also kind of honoring yourself, you know, with what you need and what you expect, in the workplace or out of your certain deals or within your contracts that you have. So they're not to control their people and they're not to threaten, right? Like I would love to control people. Like I've tried it. It doesn't really, it doesn't work. So really the idea is that you're protecting yourself with your boundaries by saying like, I will not accept this certain type of thing in my workplace or with the people I serve or contract with, right? So one way you do that is through contracts. Contracts are great for setting boundaries. Okay, so I'm going to talk about two really easy, simple provisions you can include in your contracts that kind of set some ground rules for where you're going to duke it out with somebody, right? So a forum selection clause is super smart. I'll tell you what that is in a second. And also a alternative dispute resolution clause is another thing that a lot of people like to include, and I'm going to go through that as well. So forum selection clause is simply that, like, look, if you're going to sue me, you're going to sue me in my backyard. You're not going to try to drag me across the country in a lawsuit, right? So it really just simply says like, hey, if there's a problem, we're going to use Ohio law and we're going to use like Franklin County, courthouses in some way. Well, so that's a forum selection clause, super easy to include. You should always include that. Another thing is alternative dispute resolution clauses. I love those because, dude, I do litigation and it is so expensive. So a lot of times employers really like to say that everyone has to go to arbitration, but there's other ways as well. So you could say that people have to go to mediation first. You got to try to mediate the dispute before you can file a lawsuit. Okay, so a couple things about alternative dispute resolution, and employers generally like these. And if you're an employer, you might want to consider including an alternative dispute resolution clause or an arbitration clause in your employment agreement. 5 quick reasons why employers love arbitration. More cost effective, right? So litigation is really expensive. If you go to arbitration or mediation or some other alternative dispute resolution process, you're not going to spend as much because generally discovery is limited, meaning that you can't request everything under the sun and comb through every last piece of evidence or document that could potentially possibly maybe be relevant. The second thing is it'll probably be way quicker too, because the courthouses have like dockets that are like years long. Like an average lawsuit is like 2.5 years. And that's like lucky, right? If it's complicated or if one side is dragging their feet intentionally, which happens all the time, then it could be like easily like 3 or 4 years. The third thing for employers is that it's confidential. It's more confidential than a lawsuit, right? If you're an employer and you're sued for something like discrimination or harassment of some sort, like, that's not a good look, right? And so like in arbitration or alternative dispute resolution, there is like, it's more confidential. Let's just say it's not like ironclad confidential, but it's a lot more confidential than like a public lawsuit. The fourth thing employers generally like about alternative dispute resolution is that it avoids like really large runaway jury awards. My name is Melissa Wick. I own Wick Law Offices, a small business law firm here in Columbus, Ohio.